Thank you, moderator, and thank you, African Political Outlook, for the invitation to participate here today. And before we actually go to the discussion about the multilateral system, I've been asked to just give a perspective of why we need to change this and the very pressing needs on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So this will be my introduction for the panel. So ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and colleagues and friends, it's great to see a full room and very happy to participate in this discussion. So as we convene here in 2025, we stand at a critical juncture, as was also pointed out by the previous speakers, in our collective journey towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, only 5 years to go. And only 5 years to go, it is precisely imperative that we assess our progress and also identify the strategic and the strategies necessary to accelerate our efforts. And yet, we must start by facing the sobering reality, and that is that only 17% of the Sustainable Development Goals are currently on track to be achieved. And this stark statistics is, I would say, a call to action, a reminder that we must renew our commitment, intensify our collaboration, and take decisive steps towards a sustainable and equitable future, as the efforts are also testament here today. Africa has made commendable strides in key areas such as health, education, and economic growth. However, we must also acknowledge the significant challenges that still persist. Poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation continue to hinder progress. And the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these issues, placing additional pressures on health systems, education structures, and economies across the continent. And these setbacks underscore the urgency of reinvigorating our efforts and reaffirming our commitments to the Sustainable Development Goals. And in this context, the adoption of the Pact for the Future at the UN Summit of the Future last year in September 2024 is a pivotal moment. This pact represents a collective recognition of the need to transform global governance systems and provides a timely catalyst for renewed multilateral collaboration and to boost the Sustainable Development Goals on climate action, digital cooperation, and sustainable development, broadly speaking. And to maintain and accelerate Africa's trajectory towards the Sustainable Development Goals that was, in fact, on a path before we were hit by the pandemic and other crises, we also must take this opportunity to strengthen partnerships at all levels. The collaboration between the United Nations and the African Union and the European Union stands as model of effective multilateralisms. Our shared commitment to implement the SDGs across policies and programs is a testament to what can be achieved when we work together. Moving forward, we must deepen and expand these partnerships to sustain our momentum. The United Nations, in concert with the African Union, has already taken strategic steps to bolster SDG implementation. We are working together to align institutional policies with the SDGs, ensuring that sustainable development remains central to regional and national frameworks. And through these efforts, we aim to enhance the capacity of the African countries in governance, education, health, and other priority sectors. At the same time, we are reinforcing monitoring and accountability mechanisms, ensuring that we can track progress, share good practices, and hold all actors responsible for their commitments. This requires robust data-driven tools, to support evidence-based policy making and drive meaningful change. Yet, as also been mentioned by previous speakers, one of the most pressing challenges remains financing. The gap in Sustainable Development Goal financing must be addressed urgently. We need innovative financing mechanisms, ones that attract sustainable investment, scale up development efforts, and ensure reliable energy access, a critical enabler of the broader SDG agenda. And here one of the initiatives that was mentioned is the European Union's Global Gateway, which is a very welcome strategy to leverage the financing to include also the international financing institutions and not least the private sector, and where there is a huge potential of working together and making the financing needed flow more easily. But in combination of this, we also need to address the issue of the international financing architecture to make loans more accessible and representation more fair. And this has been one of the Secretary General's primary priorities in advocacy, both in this Pact for the Future, but also in all conversations that he had. He was here last week talking to the heads of the European governments, where this issue again was raised as an urgent priority. Equally important is the inclusive policy development. The engagement of youth, civil society, and the private sector ensures that our development strategies are equitable, representative, and tailored to the needs of all segments of society. And sustainable progress can only be achieved when everyone has had a seat at the table. So, ladies and gentlemen, while the road ahead is undoubtedly very challenging, the goal of achieving the SDGs by 2030 in Africa remains still within our reach. But it requires unwavering will, as was also mentioned, bold and innovative solutions, and a stronger partnership at all levels. So let me just conclude by reaffirming the United Nations' deep commitment to sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future for all Africans. Together, we can and must build the future we envision, a future where no one is left behind. Thank you very much.